Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now there's a bearish divergence playing out on the daily Bitcoin chart, while both Bitcoin and Ethereum are consolidating sideways in the short term, which I'll talk about later in the video, so definitely stick around. First of all, starting off on the 3-day Bitcoin chart, and as I've said recently on the channel, there's obviously a large bearish divergence forming here on the 3-day Bitcoin chart because obviously we're seeing higher highs in the price and lower highs in the 3-day Bitcoin RSI. But it is important to mention that at the time of recording this video, this large 3-day Bitcoin bearish divergence is not yet confirmed because we have not yet cemented this higher high in place and this lower high in place, more importantly, here in the RSI. And so for that to take place, we need to see at least one, if not 2 to 3 candle closes in the red here on the 3-day time frame in order to cement that lower high in place here in the 3-day Bitcoin RSI. And the reason why that's important is because if we don't see those red 3-day candle closes confirm, and instead we see more green 3-day candle closes, then in that case, we could see a higher high in the RSI, which means higher highs in the RSI and higher highs in the price action, which is of course no bearish divergence at all. But anyway, now taking a look at the daily Bitcoin chart, and what we've seen over the last 1 to 2 days is actually 1 to 2 red daily candle closes just after forming a new higher high in the Bitcoin price if you're looking at the daily candle closes, while the RSI on the daily time frame is currently sitting in lower highs, which is of course a bearish divergence, telling us that we are losing some bullish momentum in the shorter term. And obviously the last bearish divergence here that we saw on the daily Bitcoin chart was right back here during February this year, and we were also running into significant resistance at the time of forming this bearish divergence. And what came next was actually a decent sized pullback in the Bitcoin price. Now overall, this didn't actually change the larger trend at play, and so at least as of right now, even though there is a bearish divergence here on the daily Bitcoin chart, which could end up playing out over the coming days or so, this does not necessarily change the larger trend, which is technically still bullish. We are still trending in the bullish direction. But once again, now that we have a bearish divergence here on the daily Bitcoin chart, this means reduced bullish momentum and usually plays out over around 1 to 2 weeks or so, which means we're most likely going to see a little bit more choppy sideways price action, if not a slight pullback here in the Bitcoin price. And the invalidation for this bearish divergence would be higher highs in the price or the RSI. Basically, if we see a breakout here in the price action above around 28.6k approximately and confirm that with a daily candle close, then that would invalidate this bearish divergence. And more importantly, if we see higher highs in the RSI as well as the price action, that would also further invalidate this bearish divergence. But at least for now, I would be expecting reduced bullish momentum in the somewhat shorter term here on the daily time frame. But once again, that doesn't necessarily change the larger trend at play. And now if you're zooming into the shorter term, this is on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, and obviously just in the short term, we're looking very neutral, not overly bullish or overly bearish, as I've been saying for a while now on this channel, because you can clearly see the price of Bitcoin is simply chopping around sideways in this sideways price range in between this support, which is sitting at around 26.5k to 26.9k, and this resistance, which is sitting at around 28.6k to around 28.9k. And now if you want to know how to make a lot of money in crypto during a choppy sideways price range like this, then stick around to the end of this video to find out more. But anyway, now taking a look at the Ethereum part of this video, this is on the daily time frame, and right now we also have a bearish divergence here for Ethereum, just like Bitcoin, because recently the price of ETH has confirmed higher highs in the daily candle closes in the price action, but also confirmed lower highs here in the daily Ethereum RSI, which is of course a bearish divergence, telling us that we are losing some bullish momentum in the somewhat shorter term here. And obviously the last bearish divergence we saw on this chart right here was back during February, and the outcome was a bearish outcome, at least for around 1 to 2 weeks before recovering later on. And now it is important to mention that not all bearish divergences play out the exact same. For example, some bearish divergences, we barely even see any pullback and instead just some choppy sideways price action, because basically what it means is that we are losing bullish momentum and doesn't necessarily guarantee a crash. It just means reduced bullish momentum in the somewhat shorter term, which on the daily time frame is usually talking around 1 to 2 weeks or so on average for a bearish divergence on this time frame. And once again, this doesn't necessarily change the larger trend at play, which is technically still bullish. We're still trending in the bullish direction with resistance in between around 1770 to 1820 and more resistance at around $2,000. And we also have this important area of support in between 1650 to 1.7k. And now if you're zooming into the shorter term, this is on the 4-hour time frame, and right now you can clearly see the price of ETH is still in this choppy sideways price range, basically consolidating sideways, not looking overly bullish or overly bearish, just in the short term here. And as for short-term support, this is sitting at around 1710 to 1730, and as for resistance in the short term, this is sitting at around 1830 to 1850. And now zooming further into the short term, this is on the 2-hour ETH to US dollar chart, and as I explained in my last video, we did have a small bearish divergence here on the 2-hour time frame, resulting in this short-term pullback in the price of ETH. And on top of that, we did have this rising wedge pattern on the 2-hour chart, which is technically a bearish pattern, meaning that it is more likely to break to the downside than to the upside, which is exactly what we saw as expected. And now, technically speaking, because we saw a break below this ascending line of support, that activated a technical price target based on this rising wedge pattern, and that price target was sitting at approximately 1720. And now, obviously, as you can see here, the price of ETH has reached around halfway between the break and the price targets. So obviously, if you entered a short position at this break of this support level, and then as the position entered into profits, you moved the stop loss into profits, clearly this was a profitable position. But as of right now, considering the retrace from the break to the downsides, personally, I would not be entering into any new short position at these prices, not because I don't think the price is going to go to the downside, but because trading these breakouts after we've already seen half of it play out simply comes with an increased amount of risk. If you're entering into a late trade after we've already seen half of the move, then once again, your risk has been increased compared to if you entered the trade right here at the initial break to the downside. And now, technically speaking, until we actually confirm a breakout back above this level, sitting at around 1820 to 1830, as of right now, this price target at around 1720 is technically still active. It is still in play, but once again, if we confirm a break back above around 1830, then that would invalidate this price target and invalidate this pattern. So this is why it is important to trade with a stop loss. This is not financial advice, but just basic risk management. Obviously, if you trade with a stop loss, and more importantly, you move that stop loss into profits as the position moves into profits, then that essentially secures your trade and minimizes risks while maximizes profits. If you have your stop loss in profits, you essentially secure those profits in case we see an early retracement. But anyway, if you want to learn more about all of that and how to trade these moves on the chart, then check out these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to make money in either a bullish or bearish move, and the video in the bottom left shows you how to make money if the price is just chopping around sideways. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.